Before I begin my story, please give me just a couple minutes. Before we start, I need to warn you, you're going to hear a few holy shit moments in this story. Things I've never said out loud. Things most people wouldn't survive, but somehow I did. And if you're here right now, watching this exact video, maybe that's not an accident. Maybe you landed here because you're carrying your own heavy shit, or because someone knew you needed to hear this. Now listen, in my videos I never ask for likes, subs, shares. It's not what this channel was made for. But this video, if there's ever a story worth sharing with someone who's hurting, then it's this one. So if a part of my life lines up with yours, if something hits you, or if you know someone who needs this message, then please share it. Not for me, but for them. Now, the story begins. You know, people see a man behind a wheel and then make assumptions. They think, truck driver, simple life, nothing special. And I don't blame them. Because most of us are strangers passing on a highway at 70 miles an hour. But the truth? Most people have no idea the kind of battles some of us survived just to make it this far. I grew up the oldest of 5 kids. Now, some people hear that think leader, big brother, the one who protects everyone. But in my house, being the oldest meant being the one who took the brunt for everyone. I had a father who drank more than he spoke. A man whose anger walked into the room before he did. And when he wasn't drunk, he was a mean sober. Sometimes that's even worse. I watched my mom, the most loving person I ever knew, turn into someone who learned how to flinch before she breathed. She didn't deserve that life. None of us did. There were nights I'd stand between them, thinking I could stop him. But a kid can't stop a grown man, fueled by alcohol and rage. All I learned was how to brace myself, how to take a hit meant for someone else, and how to survive childhood that felt like a war zone. And when you grow up like that, you don't become an unnormal adult. You become someone who's always scanning the room, someone who never relaxes, someone who learned love through fear, and fear through love. Those scars don't fade, they grow up with you. That's the real beginning of my story. Not trucking, not the road, not adulthood, but a childhood full of chaos, pain, and the moments a kid should never have to remember. And somehow, I made it out. But not without cracks. I've told pieces of my past before, but this is one of the hardest things I'll ever admit out loud. I was maybe 18, 19 years old, still just a kid trying to find a place I fit in, trying to feel like I belonged somewhere. A guy and a girl I knew invited me over one night. We were hanging out, little drinking, laughing, nothing wild, nothing dangerous. Just a young kid thinking he was safe. At some point, everything went black. And when I woke up, I had a grown man who had his mouth on a part of me. I froze. I didn't understand what was happening. My mind was racing so fast, I couldn't form a single word. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. All I could do, the only thing my body knew to do, was to pretend I was stretching, roll the opposite way, curl into a fetal position like a kid hiding from a nightmare, hoping that if I made myself small enough, quiet enough, tight enough, it would stop, that he would stop. And when it was over, I didn't tell a soul. Not my family, not a doctor, not a single friend, nobody. I buried it so deep inside of me that I convinced myself for years it didn't even happen. Because that's what men are taught to do, right? Hide it, swallow it, pretend you're made of steel. But guess what? We're not. We can be victims too. That moment didn't just break something in me. It stole something I never got back. You carry shame that was never yours. You carry confusion that eats at you from the inside. You carry silence so heavy it becomes its own kind of prison. And people wonder why I understand pain the way I do. Why my heart leans toward the broken, the hurting, the quiet ones who fight battles nobody sees. It's because I wasn't just broken once. I survived things I never should have survived, and I'm still here. People say your past doesn't define you, and maybe that's true for some people. But when your past is made of trauma, survival, and silence, it doesn't just shape you, it steers you. In my late 20s, early 30s, I didn't realize how broken I really was. I didn't see the damage inside of me, but the world did. I wasn't some hardened criminal. I wasn't evil. I wasn't out looking to hurt anyone. I was just a young man with pain leaking out of every crack I tried to seal shut. I got into trouble, fights, arguments, places I shouldn't have been, people I shouldn't have been around, decisions that were more about escaping myself than anything else. And yeah, jail happened. It wasn't long sentences. It wasn't some Hollywood prison story. But when you're sitting on a cold bench behind bars, whether it's for a night or a week or months, you learn real quick how far pain can drag a person when they don't know how to carry it. And every single time I sat there, staring at a concrete wall, I'd think, how the hell did I get here? How did that quiet, scared kid become this angry, confused adult? How does everything keep going wrong, even when I try to do right? But the truth hit me years later. I never healed. I never learned how to. I never had anyone tell me that what happened to me wasn't my fault. That what I carried was too heavy for a kid, and that it's okay to ask for help. So pain turned into anger. Anger turned into reckless choices, and reckless choices turned into consequences. And consequences, they don't just disappear when you walk out of that cell. They follow you. They change how you look at the world, how you look at yourself, how you trust, how you love, and how you live. Even when I pulled myself out of that spiral, and I did, some pieces stayed trapped in there. Pieces I'm still learning to live with. You don't escape trauma. You don't outrun it. You don't pretend it never happened. You just learn to carry it differently. You learn to turn it into something that doesn't destroy you. And if you're lucky, you turn it into something that helps someone else survive their own darkness. I eventually got married, built a home, started a life that I genuinely believed would erase every bad memory I ever had. And then I had 2 boys, 2 little humans who changed everything inside of me. 2 boys who made me swear I'd never be the man my father was. 2 boys I would have walked through fire for without hesitation. I tried to be the dad I never had. I tried to love them the way I wish someone had loved me. But there's something nobody tells you about childhood trauma. If you never truly heal, you bleed on the people who didn't cut you. My demons didn't show up loud and obvious. There weren't explosions. There weren't dramatic scenes. No. Trauma, it's smarter than that. It whispers. It quietly sabotages. It makes you shut down when you should open up. It makes you numb when you should be present. It turns every good moment into a moment you fear losing. I didn't understand that back then. All I knew was that something in me was breaking. Slowly, quietly, every day, and I didn't know how to stop it. My marriage, it finally cracked. Then it crumbled. And the day I lost my family, something in me died again. 14 years, all of it gone. I'm not sitting here pretending I was guilt-free. I made mistakes. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I didn't know how to love myself. So how the hell was I supposed to love anyone the right way? But I wasn't a monster. I was a man, drowning in battles he never got taught how to fight. And losing my boys, that pain doesn't fade either. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't heal. It becomes a part of your bones, part of every mile you drive, part of every quiet night when your mind won't shut up. There isn't a sunrise I see without thinking of them. There isn't a birthday I don't remember. There isn't a version of my life where I don't look back and whisper, I wish I'd been better back then. People talk about heartbreak like it's something you recover from. But some heartbreaks, they don't go away. They just teach you how to breathe around the hole they leave behind. And losing my family, that was the moment I realized pain doesn't kill you. It transforms you. Sometimes into someone harder, sometimes into someone wiser, and sometimes into someone who finally realizes that healing is life or death. Because when you lose the people you love most, you either let it destroy you or you let it wake you up. There's another part of my story I've never talked about publicly. Not because I'm ashamed, but because it's hard to explain something that deep without people twisting it. So let me be clear before I tell this part. I didn't do it because I was weak. I didn't do it because I wanted to hurt anyone. I didn't do it because I was looking for attention. I did it because life had stacked more weight on me than any one person should have to carry alone. Years of abuse, years of stress, years of heartbreak, Years of pretending I was fine when I wasn't. It all finally built up inside of me, like a pressure cooker without a release valve. And one night, it broke. I broke. I didn't think about tomorrow. I didn't think about consequences. I didn't think about survival or death. All I remember is feeling like the pain inside me finally had no more room to go. That's the part most people don't understand. When you get that low, you're not trying to die. You're trying to stop the hurt. I ended up in a hospital. Machines, tubes, doctors everywhere. Shit, I even had nurses crying for me. They told me I had 5% chance to make it. Just 5%. They wanted to call in the family. All I could do was cry. People don't realize how thin that line is until you're standing on it. I was in intensive care for 6 weeks. I woke up days later, confused, weak, scared, but alive. Some people say moments like that change you. Nah. Moments like that expose you. They show you how much life tried to bury you and how much fight you still had left, even when you didn't think you did. And here's the truth I learned. You don't survive something like that because you're lucky. You survive because somewhere deep inside, a part of you refused to quit, even when your mind tried to. That night didn't define me. It didn't shape me. It didn't turn me into anything. It simply showed me that I wasn't done. And if someone watching this is standing on that same edge, feeling like there's no escape, no light, no reason, please listen to me. You're hurting, but you're not broken beyond repair. You're tired, but you're not done. And you will not be defined by your darkest moment. Now we get to the point in my life where everything was slipping through my fingers. No home, no grounding, no family beside me anymore, no plan for tomorrow. Just a man standing at that edge of that kind of darkness people don't talk about. I wasn't choosing between good and bad. I wasn't choosing between surviving and disappearing. And it really did come down to two roads: homeless or a truck driver. That's it. This was the fork in my life. And the crazy part, I didn't even know if I chose trucking or if trucking chose me. Because when you're at the rock bottom, you don't need a miracle. You just need one open door. And trucking was the only door that didn't slam in my face. Most people don't understand this part of the industry. They see the trucks, they see the miles, the big rigs, but they don't see the human beings behind the wheel. They don't see how many of us climbed into that driver's seat just because we were running from something or trying to rebuild something. Or maybe because life had kicked us down so many times we didn't have anywhere else to go. People say trucking is lonely, and maybe that's true. But for a lot of us, loneliness was the upgrade. Loneliness was better than abuse, better than chaos, better than the noise inside a home that never felt like a home, better than the kind of silence you feel sitting in a jail cell, better than the pain of losing everyone you love. But out on the highway, for the first time in my life, I heard a different kind of silence. A healing silence. A silence where I could finally think, where I could finally breathe, where no one was hitting me, yelling at me, breaking me, or reminding me of what I wasn't. Just me, the road, and the miles ahead. And mile by mile, I started stitching myself back together. Not perfectly, not quietly, not cleanly, but slowly. The way people rebuild when life has taken too much from them. Trucking didn't fix me. It didn't save me, like some movie moment, but it gave me space. Space to stop drowning. Space to learn who I was. Space to understand that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't meant to die broken. And when you've been through hell, sometimes the only healing you get is the healing you give yourself on the open road, one lonely mile at a time. Now, let me be honest in a way most people aren't. I deal with depression. I deal with trauma. I deal with memories that feel like they happened yesterday, even when they're decades old. And yeah, sometimes they hit so hard, it steals the air right out of my chest. But here's the part that might surprise some people. I never took the magic pills, not because I'm above them, but because nobody ever told me I had options. Nobody ever looked at me and said, "Hey, you're carrying too much. Let me help lighten the load." I never had therapy. Never had someone guide me through the mess. Never had a doctor tell me it wasn't my fault. So I did what broken people do. I kept going anyway. I woke up with a heavy chest and moved. I carried grief like it was welded to my bones and moved. I fought memories that should have taken me out, and I still moved. Year after year, decade after decade. And here's the truth that almost no one ever says out loud. Even today, I still feel sadness. I still feel that deep, heavy ache that comes from surviving what most people never had to. I still have moments where life feels heavier than it should. But there is one thing I no longer feel: that desire to quit. Now, I'm in a different chapter of life. I may not be healed. I may not be whole. But I'm here. And I'm fighting like hell for every mile I get. Not because I'm brave, but because I finally realized something important. If life didn't beat me when I had nothing, it sure as hell isn't going to beat me now. And here are my final thoughts. I've driven more than 1,000,000 miles in this life. And with any luck, I'll have 1,000,000 more. I've rolled past strangers who had no idea the kind of storms I survived. And I've passed people who were probably fighting their own battles, just like me. Truth is, you never really know the person sitting in the car next to you. You don't know what they're carrying. You don't know the nights they barely made it through. And you don't know how close some of us came to breaking. For all I know, one of the stories I've lived through might have touched your family at some point. That's how connected we all are without even realizing it. For almost 50 years, I've kept most of my life bottled up. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know how to talk about it. Didn't know if anybody would care. Didn't know if sharing it would make me look weak. But I found out something on this road. The stories we're afraid to share are usually the one somebody out there needs the most. And maybe, just maybe, someone watching this is standing in the same darkness I once stood in. Maybe they grew up like I did. Maybe they lost people they loved. Maybe they feel alone and don't know where to turn. And if telling my truth, all of it, raw and unpolished, helps even one person feel less alone, then every mile, every scar, every battle, it all had a purpose. That's why I'm telling this story now. Not for views, not for sympathy, but because people need to hear that the ones who look strong weren't born that way. We were shaped, tested, broken, and rebuilt one painful piece at a time. If my voice can reach someone who thinks their story is over, maybe they'll realize it's not. Not yet. You're not alone. You never were. And if a man like me, with this past, this pain, this road behind him, can still stand here and keep going, then so can you. This isn't the end of your story. It's just a chapter where you finally realize you're stronger than everything that ever tried to destroy you. Thank you for joining me.